So, I have a new grandkid today. Yes. Better bought our condo and 9-month-old kitten. Pictures. I was in. The animals, it's
Thank you. I'd like to call to order the November 9th meeting of the Onalaska Common Council. The time is 7 p.m. We'll begin with roll call. Ask the clerk to do the roll.
Mayor Kim Smith,
Here.
Tom Smith.
Here.
Dan Stevens,
here.
Stephen Knott,
Present.
Jim Olson,
Here.
Carrie Burmaster. Here. Diane Wolf.
Here. Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 3 on our agenda is the rules of the City of Onalaska Common Council and its subcommittees. This is a harassment-free forum. The City Council and subcommittee meetings shall be conducted in a courteous manner. Citizens, council, and committee members shall be allowed to state their positions in an atmosphere free of slander, insults, obscene remarks, threats of violence, or for the use of the council or committee as a forum for politics. Sufficient warnings may be given by the Sergeant at Arms at any time during the remarks. In the event that any individual shall violate the rules of decorum heretofore set forth, such person may then be cut off from comment or debate. Item 4 is public input. If you'd like to address the Common Council, now is the time to do so. Please approach the podium, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes per person. Would anyone like to address the Common Council this evening? Second call. If anyone would like to address the Common Council, now is the time to do so. Third and final call for anyone wishing to address the Common Council this evening. Not seeing or hearing anyone, the public input is now closed. And item 5 is a report from the mayor concerning the announcement of the hometown hero. It was my pleasure to meet with our police and fire chiefs to identify possible candidates for the 94th Assembly District First Responder of the Year. And in the course of doing that, we did select Pete Chakowski, who is here this evening. I'd like to go ahead and read the nomination that we collectively submitted for him. And then after that, I'll turn it over to Steve Doyle, our 94th Assembly District Representative, who is here tonight to present the award to Pete. So we nominate Onalaska Police Investigator Pete Chakowski as First Responder of the Year for Assembly District 94 because he is one of our hometown heroes. Investigator Chakowski has made taking a bite out of crime his life's work, and Onalaska is better for it. He is a 36-year veteran of our police force. During these years, he has built his credentials, starting as a patrol officer, FTO, DAAT instructor, and a vehicle contact instructor, and currently one of 2 investigators for our community. Working in a smaller department means everyone needs to step up and help each other. And Investigator Chakowski is always there to be a leader, a helper, and a mentor to his fellows. He is an excellent teacher and a role model. One of the things that lift Investigator Chakowski to the hero level comes from his commitment to gather and follow evidence. He manages a big workload and efficiently follows through and gets arrested for crimes large and small. He is always paying attention to the current police events to see if he can find any new pieces to the latest crime puzzle he is compelled to solve. What draws people to Investigator Jakowski is his caring demeanor, his dedication to good police work, and his strong work ethic. Most police officers retire from law enforcement long before 36 years. This is a career that takes a real toll on people. We are very fortunate to continue to have his experience on staff and that he still truly cares about victims and the negative impact crime has on our community. He is really a special person. We get regular feedback from other agencies that they also have an extremely high level of respect for Pete and his partner, investigator Chad Marcon. Local FBI Special Agent Bass stated, Pete is one of the most respected investigators in Western Wisconsin. His contributions to the area ICAC task force have resulted in numerous successful prosecutions and children's rescued. Pete is routinely sought out to assist with local FBI cases due to his vast experience and his technical expertise. Pete has served as a mentor for younger investigators, which has contributed greatly to the area's investigative capabilities and resources, as well as helping ensure a continuation of such capabilities into the future. Investigator Jakowski is also committed to the Special Olympics. He has spent a great deal of time and energy helping with Special Olympics for over 20 years. He coaches and helps organize events such as Day at the Beach and the annual Cops Gone Wild. Here are some additional comments describing Investigator Jakowski from his fellow officers that we received. Patience, compassion, professionalism, caring, dedication, work ethic. Sitting directly across the hallway from Pete, I hear him working on his caseload each day. The level of service that he provides to crime victims far exceeds my expectations and is above that of the average officer. If I were a victim of a serious crime, I would want Pete working on the case as I know it would be handled thoroughly and professionally. Another comment, Pete is someone who the younger officers look up to. He is always willing to help and to serve as an excellent teacher and role model. Pete shows genuine and sincere concern for his fellow officers and coworkers. If someone is struggling with something on a personal or a professional level, Pete is someone who is quick to jump in and offer help. Recruitment and public relations. Pete helps with the recruitment and is always willing to help promote the profession by facilitating hands-on activities for the public, Boy Scouts, Police Reserve, O Academy, and etc. We appreciate and are thankful for all of our hometown heroes in the 94th Assembly District and beyond. Thank you to Steve Doyle and our other state representatives for taking the time out to honor them. At this time, I'll turn it over to Steve Doyle. And Pete, if you would like to come up to the podium also, we'd appreciate that.
Thank you, Mayor Smith and members of the council. And I just want to say it's a real honor to be here tonight. And it's a real honor to be here with Pete. The State Assembly has been doing this for every year. Across the state, we have the first responder of the year from each assembly district. And if I'm correct, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Pete, but I think we had like almost the largest contingent of supporters that came to Madison because like everybody he knew came down with him, and that was pretty neat. Got to meet his family, and it was a real exciting day. And I have to say, Mayor, when I got the nomination, that was a really good nomination. It was pretty obvious that people in Onalaska think real highly of Pete, and I understand exactly why. What a great guy. And I'll tell you, I also have this like backdoor approach just to make sure that there were no hidden skeletons for Pete. So as many of you know, I'm married to a judge. And so I asked her, is there anything going on at the courthouse that maybe I should not nominate Pete? And she's like, everybody thinks he's a great guy. So it was pretty much unanimous. He's the one. So I got a number of nominations. There were two that really stood out, Pete and an EMT from Tri-State. But I have to say, reading the nomination, the sincerity that I saw come through. I mean, we get a lot of these kind of things. People are nominated for this or that, and it's kind of this, uninspired type of a nomination. But it's really obvious that people here that was heartfelt. So thank you for that nomination. Thank you for sharing a little bit of Pete Chakowski with our community and showing off Onalaska in Madison. So I have this plaque here with a citation that I'm going to read and then I'll present that to Pete. I actually let him hold it when he was in Madison, but I said, I'm taking it back because you're getting it tonight. So here we go. This is the 2021 Hometown Hero Award, the 94th Assembly District First Responder of the Year. Whereas Pete Chakowski serves the city of Onalaska with honor and distinction as an Onalaska Police Department investigator, and whereas Pete Chakowski has been nominated by citizens of the 94th Assembly District for the honor of the First Responder of the Year for our Assembly District, and whereas Pete Chakowski is a 36-year veteran of the police force who has built his credentials over the years, starting as a patrol officer, FTO, DAT instructor, vehicle contact instructor, and is currently one of only 2 investigators in the department. And whereas Pete Chakowski's commitment to gather and follow evidence, coupled with his caring demeanor and dedication to good police work, lift him to the level of hometown hero. And whereas first responders from across Wisconsin are being recognized in the state capitol with a Hometown Hero Award for their service and sacrifice, now therefore, Representative Steve Doyle, on behalf of the Wisconsin State Assembly, hereby recognizes Pete Chakowski as the First Responder of the Year for the 94th District in recognition of his selfless dedication and service to our community. Thank you and congratulations, Pete.
Now council will just run down there and get a quick photo, and then there is a small reception in room 112 for those that are interested, and the rest of us will have to continue on with city business. But thank you all for attending this evening.
We're gonna go up here.
No, I'm okay.
How do you want to do it?
Back here?
Why don't you two stay right here and we'll go in a circle around.
That sounds great.
Okay.
Maybe how about I'll go on the other
Mayor
side.
should be up front.
See the camera.
All right. All right.
Thank you. I will keep this short. At my age, I have to be in bed by 8:30. Yeah. Many thanks to Mayor Smith, Chief Ashbeck, Chief Goody, and a lot of other people who said some very kind words when nominating me for this award. Thank you to Representative Doyle for selecting me for this award. It was one of my proudest moments to stand at the Capitol with so many other deserving people. During my 36 years, I've had the opportunity to work with countless firefighters, police officers, first responders. They work hard, they're dedicated. They deserve this award as much as I do. They too are hometown heroes, and I'm proud to call them my friends. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yes. Okay. Recommendations for approval and/or possible action from the following committees, commissions, and boards. All items listed under the agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member requests removal, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in the order of business in the non-consent agenda. Item 6, the consent agenda. Would anybody like to remove any items? Okay, not seeing or hearing anyone, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Alder Burmaster, second by Alder Smith to approve the consent agenda. Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The consent agenda is approved. Moving to the non-consent agenda, item 7 is a recap of items pulled from the consent agenda. There were none. Item 8 is the Finance Committee, and I'll turn that over to Alder Wolf.
Thank you, Your Honor. Since the following is the list of monies expended since the last common council meeting dated October 12th, 2021, in the amount of $2,072,929.68. So I move that we approve aforementioned amount.
I'll second.
A motion on the floor by Alder Wolf, seconded by Alder Smith. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to personnel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Under personnel, item A, approval of policy updates. I will be taking this item by item, line by line. So the very first one is 1.10 introductory work period policy. I move that we approve 1.10 introductory work period policy effective immediately.
Second.
Here we have a motion on the floor by Alder Wolf, seconded by Alder Olson to approve policy 1.10. Is there any discussion? Okay, not seeing any. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Item 1.11, position classification policy. It passed unanimously to approve this. So I move that we do approve policy 1.11, position classification policy, and have it become effective immediately.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor regarding policy 1.11. Motion by Alder Wolf, second by Alder Smith. Is there discussion? It was seconded by Alder Smith. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, so if there is any discussion, now is the time. Not seeing or hearing anyone, the motion on the floor is to approve policy 1.11. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Item 7.04, jury duty and civil leave policy. It passed unanimously at Finance and Personnel last week. So I will move that we approve policy number 7.04, jury duty and civil leave policy, and have it become effective immediately.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve policy 7.04. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving 7.04, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously.
7.05, vacation policy. It was approved unanimously at Finance and Personnel. So I will move that we approve 7.05 vacation policy this evening and have it go into effect 1/1/2022.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Alder Wolf, seconded by Alder Smith, to approve 7.05 vacation policy. Is there any discussion? Alder Wolf.
Thank you, Your Honor. I do have just a follow-up. I know it was asked at F&P last week. It is on the second page of the vacation policy, page 2 of 2. Technically, it's the second to last paragraph, if you consider labor agreements as a paragraph, where it starts off vacation is earned. About the middle of it, it talked about limited exceptions may be made to the 40-hour carryover policy under approval of the human resources manager and the city administrator. So I know we talked about it, and I guess I just want to get in the record tonight, so I want to make sure everyone understands it, because I think I'm still a little bit unsure. I know in past years, and this, I think this is directed towards Eric and or HR, would be in past years when someone wanted to carry over additional time would have to come before council.
Okay, well,
I'm sorry.
wants to the administrator to
Just
address.
have additional input on that. Thank you.
Okay,
That is correct. There was specific requests done due to the nature of both the pandemic and a presidential election. There was, in particular, there were some cases there where they're simply unable to schedule time, or that time would have been canceled if they requested it for people, and that did go back to council. Council would retain that right to make exceptions if an employee requested one. Even under the policy, you can always create exceptions to that. As written, while it's under approval of the human resource manager and the city administrator, it does continue with very specifics for the guidelines that the two of us may approve it. And that is those who are unable to use their earned vacation due to a work-related serious illness or accidents verified by a physician or employee who has a vacation canceled by the department head. So those are the only two exceptions that under this policy would not come to you, but all other requests would.
thank you.
As
Go ahead.
currently written,
Go ahead, Eric.
just as it's currently written in the policy right now, those are the two exceptions.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. There was just a lot of policies, and I just wanted to hear it one more time, so I got that. Thank you. And so that everyone else here also heard the same thing.
Are there any other questions or discussion regarding this policy? Okay, the motion on the floor then is to approve 7.05. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously.
7.06, sick and funeral leave policy. This was unanimously approved at Finance and Personnel last week with a grandfather clause. And Amanda has provided me a motion, and it's quite lengthy, so I will read it. This is a good thing that she's done. And we have passed it on also to our city clerk, so she doesn't have to read it. And we don't expect you to write any of this down. So the motion is to approve, and this is per our discussion regarding this, that at least F&P agreed upon. So I move to approve policy 7.06, sick and funeral leave policy, with the exception that those 6 individuals identified by staff as currently having a secondary sick bank shall be allowed to keep that bank, which shall be capped at the number of hours those employees have in their bank as stated in the employee leave report dated November 5th, 2021. No further accumulation of secondary sick bank hours shall be allowed, and hours will not be replaced. The secondary bank shall only be allowed to be used for extended illness and shall not apply to retirement payout or have any other value upon separation as stated in the prior policy. Extended illness shall be defined as a portion of any absence due to illness which extends beyond 10 consecutive working days. I told you it was long.
Okay, we have
Motion, right?
a second.
Yeah, I said I move. Yes.
Did you say you second? Okay, so we have the motion on the floor as Alder Wolf stated, and Alder Knott was kind enough to second that, and now we'll open it up for discussion. Is there any discussion? Okay. So all those in favor of approving the policy 7.06 as described by Alder Wolf, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda, for that. It just needed to be done, but yeah, thank you. So 7.07 holidays and personal days policy. It was unanimously passed by F&P to approve this policy. So I move that we approve policy number 7.07, holidays and personal days policy, and have it go into effect January 1st, 2022.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Alder Wolf, seconded by Alder Smith. Is there discussion?
Discussion?
Discussion? Discussion. Okay,
Did you call for discussion?
yeah, I said, is there discussion? And you said discussion?
You're
There was
asking.
this, there was, yes, I was.
Okay,
asking
Alder Wolf, please.
questions. I know currently each full-time employee is at 2 and we're proposing to go to 4. And I know HR had prepared a document for us regarding comparison of paid leave. I did ask Amy to go ahead and add a comparison for comparison purposes on Alaska School District, because I thought it would be a good comparison, because it seemed like we were comparing ourselves to lacrosse. And one question I have though is, I don't see Holman or West Salem, which I think would be a little bit more similar in size to us. And lastly, when I look at the comparison sheet, if you kind of do an average, they're at 2.29 days. So I guess I'd like to hear what other alders have, what their thoughts are about going from 2 to 4 days, and we're looking at this comparison. And if I might add also, since finance and personnel, I was surprised by the number of people, staff and department heads who reached out to me since the meeting, thanking me for leading the discussion regarding the number of these policies. But I think one thing that really stood out to me were a number of employees who spoke favorably or gave input to me on policies that did not affect them, but they spoke on behalf of their fellow employees or their fellow coworkers. Just to give me food for thought, or just their opinion about maybe some of those who were here regarding longevity and stuff. So I just want to thank them, because I thought I got a lot of good input, a lot of good constructive criticism. So I just want to thank them for reaching out and mentioning that. So I guess my one concern is about going from 2 to 4. And I think, I don't know, I'm just going to throw out there, I haven't given this much thought, but, and we didn't talk about it in F&P, but you know, if we go to 2 to, if we increase it, you know, like I said, the average for comparing, you know, we're right about where the average is for these others. I think if maybe we consider any additional days, are we legally allowed to consider those with longevity? Since we talked about trying to reward those who have been here a long time. It's just a thought. I haven't had a chance to talk to Amanda or Eric about this. Just something that I came up with today.
Okay, let's have the city attorney Jackson weigh in on that.
I mean, that would be within your purview. I just was going to give a little bit of the history that I did give at FMP, but I know not everybody was there. And so this project sort of came out twofold of both. We had been hiring for positions in 2021, and we had in 3 instances, our top candidates turn us down because our benefits and flexibility were not something that they were willing to accept. And that sort of made us look at our policies, which were on our list to start reviewing, but also to start comparing us, you know, to our local comparables. You know, we could look at Holman School District and we could look at West Salem School District, but quite honestly, I know we don't always love La Crosse, but La Crosse and municipalities really are our best comparables. I mean, we're more likely to take an employee from La Crosse than we are from a school district or the county, either Trempealeau or La Crosse County. But when we started to compare, we noticed that we were a little light on holidays and a little light on personal days or flexibility with other days. And so, as I think I said in F&P, there's a lot of ways to kind of skin the cat as far as coming up with a solution to that. You know, some municipalities choose to have more holidays where they close. We wanted to keep City Hall open rather than have more holidays. We opted to provide personal days and propose that because it gives everybody the most flexibility while keeping City Hall operating. And so that was sort of where we came up with the additional personal days. Lacrosse, for instance, they take a different approach. They allow you so many sick leave days to be flexible days where you can convert them to essentially personal days. You've got floating holidays in some municipalities where they give you above and beyond the days they close for, they just give you floating holidays. I mean, as you can see from the chart that Amy very kindly put together, there's kind of a lot of ways to do it. And this was just the way we felt was the most consistent with past practice and provided the most flexibility for our employees.
Thank you for that. Is there other discussion? Alder Wolf?
And as a follow-up, I wasn't even thinking of the two different school districts. I was thinking more of the village, but like I said, I'm not, I mean, I understand, but I'm not, I don't know whether I could support doubling it. But if we did give additional, I could see maybe going additional day, but to go from 2 to 3 days and maybe even give a 4th day to those people who when we did the Baker Tilly study, there was a concern about that. There were those people for longevity that, you know, we were not bringing them up to where they needed to be. So that might be a possibility to giving them an additional day after so many years of service, grant them an extra day. It's just a thought.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Alder Burmaster?
I would just like to say that I'm in favor of increasing that to 2 days. Not that I'm against doing it for the longer term employees, because I think when we're going through all these policies, we're being, you know, when you're looking at it from the employees' side, the new employees are getting more increases than our long-term employees. That's the one thing that our long-term employees are getting an increase on all of these policies. So I would not want to, you know, take that away from them. So like I said, unless, you know, we have an alternative to give it to the longer term employees, but I said, I don't want to change that number because I think, you know, that 4 would be an adequate figure because we are at the minimum for holidays when I'm looking at this chart. And I don't think we're out of line even with the 4 days for the personal days. So I really don't have a problem with the 4 personal days.
Thank you. Alder Stevens?
With, I guess, reference to that chart, I did, maybe to build off of what Alder Wolf was mentioning, the sample size did seem like it was very lacrosse centric. And then previous like wage studies and other things where we've looked at other municipalities, we had cities that were bigger than us. We had places like Holman and Wassalem that were smaller. And then we had comparable size cities, like I think Wisconsin Rapids usually made the cut. Cities at roughly about 18 to 20,000 people. Whether we, you know, add 1 day, no days, or 2 days, I guess that's all for fair discussion. But I thought the sample could be a little bit better because of we're not the city of La Crosse, we're the city of Onalaska, and I think we have our own unique identity. I don't know that that necessarily means, you know, less days off, but I think we should look at the full picture and not just chase after another city, because it's just a bad precedent, because then where do you draw the line? I mean, we don't want to emulate all their policies. I think we're very, very different than them. So that was pretty much it. It was just my concern over the sample size or the sample set.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? The motion on the floor is to,
Just add one quick thing as a follow-up to Alder Burmaster's.
Alder Wolf?
I apologize. I thank Alder Burmaster for bringing up vacation because I apologize. That's one. I looked at every other column, but I did not see that one. So looking at where we are a few days shy, I do acknowledge that. Thank you.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to approve 7.07, the holiday and personal days policy. Is there further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
7.09 layoff and furlough policy. It was unanimously approved at F&P. So I move that we approve 7.09 layoff and furlough policy and have it go into effect immediately.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Alder Wolf, seconded by Alder Olson to approve 7.09 effective immediately. Is there discussion? Not seeing any. So all in favor of approving this policy, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Policy number 7.10, alternate work arrangement policy. I scanned 11 pages of minutes and I still couldn't find what our recommendation was. I looked at, so I know we talked about probably forwarding on to council without a recommendation, but so I don't know what we just did at FNP.
We did not. We forwarded it here for further
But
discussion.
I couldn't find a motion or a second or a vote, so,
There wasn't one. I
There
don't
wasn't
think.
one. We just
okay, good.
sent it on.
But okay, so.
You should make a motion to put it on the floor for discussion.
Exactly. So I will, for discussion purposes, I will put on the floor to approve policy 7.10, alternate work arrangement policy.
I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor by Alder Wolf, seconded by Alder Smith to approve 7.10. Any discussion? Alder Burmaster?
I do just want to add one comment. I know I had talked to the city attorney about this previous to the meeting. Under the approval process, we had discussed that at FNP meeting, and I know that we had added the city administrator in there for approving that. And we have the addition of the mayor for the police and the fire chiefs. But I would like to request that we also have the common council on there approving the city administrator's schedule.
Okay, so let's go to our city attorney for how that would fit into the policy then.
Yep, so if you are online, it's page 31. If you're in your packet, it is page 28, and I'm going to just highlight the language up on the screen for you as best I can here. But at the bottom of that page where it starts the process for non-standard work schedule, informal remote work, where it says and city administrator for approval, and then parentheses or mayor for the police/fire chiefs, we would just add in or common council for city administrator.
Okay, so would we like to have that be an amendment then?
I'll make a motion for an amendment for that.
Okay.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion on the floor by Alder Burmaster to amend policy 7.10 to include under item 1 on page 28 that the common council would be designated to approve any schedule change, non-standard schedule or formal remote work for the city administrator. Tom, did you second that?
Yes, it is.
Sorry. Okay, is there discussion on the amendment? Alder Wolf.
Thank you, Your Honor. So it's not notification, it's for approval for council. So it would become to us for a vote for approval. Okay, the way it's written. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, so this vote will be on the amendment to add the designation for how the city administrator schedule change would be handled. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The amendment passes. Now back to the original motion, which is to approve 7.10 as amended. Is there further discussion? Alder Stevens.
I feel like we could probably talk about this one all night, but the one thing that kind of sticks out to me is each position is very different and the needs are very different. I mean, we have people that it would be very inappropriate for them to be working at home because they're dealing with city service consumers or customers. There's other people that, with the exception of meetings, could probably work from home all the time. I mean, I think, for example, Amanda, she could do her job from home. I think she always answers the phone. She always gets the job done. I think Plan could do that. I'm not sure about Public Works. I'd leave that up to Jared, but there's other people that couldn't. So having the kind of the catch-all on the formal work route, formal remote work agreement of 3 days, it strikes me that, I mean, that's 60%. And that seems like that would be, if that were the case all the time, I think that would be too much. On the other hand, there's times where people might need that. And I'd almost prefer to go by a case by case basis. For example, if somebody had a sick child at home, I would rather that they work from home, even if it took 2-3 weeks, and then not miss work, rather than have to take the sick time to take care of their family. But kind of like what we discussed previously with regards to council members, I mean, the effort should be made to be here if and accessible. And I just think that 60% indefinitely is, it just seems like a lot of time to be away from City Hall. Exceptions could be made, but I'd prefer a more case by case basis route.
Could I just interject that between F&P and council, we did reduce the number of days down to 2. So it now states not more than 2 days as opposed to 3. Sorry.
Well, great. I feel much better about that. I'm looking at the F&P.
Okay. Okay, so thank you for clearing that up. And any other discussion? Okay, so, Alder Wolf?
So I know Amy had emailed us out a remote work application and approval form. Is that noted anywhere in our document here, our policy? Is this something that's going to be, would be possibly and just more of an internal thing? So we don't need to address it here this evening.
No, she was just giving you a sample. So this does talk about that process and that there is a formal application that one would fill out, and it would be relatively similar to what she sent out, which is what she was trying to show.
And thank you. And thank you, Amy, for doing that, because it kind of wrapped it all up in a nice tidy bow. So we kind of understood. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Alder Smith?
The only thing, and I think it's in our policy, help correct me, Amanda, for now, is that we go with this for a certain department or certain people, but if it doesn't work, we can request them to come back in the office and terminate that agreement or whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
That's in here, because I mean, that's one of the things I ran into is it sounds great, but sometimes it doesn't work for certain situations. So we always have that opportunity to return it back.
Yes, the supervisor can end that formal work arrangement at any time if it's not working.
Thank you. And that's in here, right? It's,
Yes.
Thank you. Alder Burmaster?
I know the one question that I had when we were at F&P was to make sure that we were providing daycare for the children when we were working at home. And I know that that was addressed in the form that Amy had handed to us, which I was very happy to see. And I thank you for that, Amy. But my only concern with that is that form doesn't come to council and it's in there now. And I would feel better that I have the assurance that it's going to remain in there. So I guess I would like to express at least that I have a strong feeling on that, and I would be very disappointed if that wasn't in there. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I think Alder Wolf, did you have something else or Alder not?
And just comment, I can certainly support this, but I do have some concerns. I just have a built-in from my own personal experiences, I guess, aversion to remote work in most circumstances, but I certainly will trust that the city leadership, as identified in the policy, can make those decisions. I just hope that they understand that. Well, I'm sure they do. Please consider that the needs of the city weigh very heavily on those decisions when they're made. So,
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? The motion on the floor is to approve policy 7.10 as amended. All those in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
And finally, 7.10 alternate, item
B.
9B. Approval to delete policy 7.08 sabbatical leave. It is not in our packet, but it was unanimously approved to delete this at F&P. So I move that we delete policy 7.08 sabbatical leave.
I'll second that.
Thank you. The motion was made by Alder Wolf, seconded by Alder Smith to approve the deletion of policy 7.08. Is there discussion? Eric,
Somebody explain it.
City Administrator Eric Rindfleisch.
Alder Burmaster was able to provide a historical background as to why the policy was written. It does appear to have been written in one particular case. So I do invite the council to realize that if there is such a situation that does come forward in the absence of a policy, it'll be like coming to the council again, asking for exceptions or a new policy if that be the case. I do not anticipate that. I think it's a difficult situation for someone to take a sabbatical and still provide the work that the city desperately needs them to accomplish. But if something does arise, you have the ability to make an exception.
Thank you for that. Is there any other discussion? Okay, so the motion on the floor is to approve the deletion of policy 7.08. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion is unanimous. The policy will be deleted. Item 10, Administrative Committee, Alder Stevens.
Thank you, Your Honor. Under item 10A, approval of special event permit for the Cross Area YMCA to host the Jingle Bell Run on December 11th, 2021, starting at the YMCA at 400 Mason Street in Unalaska. I will make a motion for approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Alder Stevens, seconded by Alder Burmaster to approve the special event permit. Is there any discussion? Alder Stevens?
I believe this was a late entry from A&J, so I would ask if the city clerk could, if there's anything noteworthy that we should know about this.
No concerns. Their fees have been paid and the insurance has been put on file. All department heads have approved it.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? All those in favor of approving the special event permit, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Item 11, Board of Public Works, Alder Knott.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we set December 7th as the public hearing date for the 2022 capital improvements budget.
Okay, we have a motion by Alder Knott. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Burmaster. And then under discussion, could we just have either Jared or Amanda outline the,
I was just going to say, to clarify, that would be at the Board of Public Works meeting at 6:30 PM.
okay, so could one of you please just outline the process for moving the capital improvement project forward?
Yeah, so, and Jared can jump in if I'm wrong. So we'll have the public hearing at the December Board of Public Works meeting that will run much like the budget meeting did last night, where we open it up to the public. Then the Board of Public Works will make changes as they see fit or recommendations based on what is their purview. And then we'll go back, we'll reopen the public hearing to address any comments related to changes made at that meeting. And then we will wrap that meeting up, and then the capital improvement project will go on the next council agenda as two separate items. So the first will be approval of the list of the capital improvement projects, and then the second will be the resolution essentially authorizing the spending of the money to fund the capital improvement projects. And so that's the point where council then could go in and look at the list and make changes if they saw fit.
So the council could make changes at the council meeting.
Yes.
Is there any other discussion?
What was the time on that? December 7th?
It's at the regular Public Works meeting, so it would be 6:30, December 7th at the council chambers. Okay, so the motion on the floor sets the public hearing for December 7th at 6:30 PM at the Public Works meeting. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 12, Plan Commission is item A, approval of the development agreement for 1104 Well Street. It was the recommendation of the Plan Commission to approve this development agreement. And I'll move that forward to the Common Council this evening. Amanda Jackson.
So just, I guess, to give a little bit of a history, this came up at Plan Commission. At that point in time, we were still waiting on different pieces. And so they approved the idea of the development agreement in concept. And then we finalized a draft of the agreement. And that's what's before you tonight. And so the property has sold at 1104 Wells Street. We've had multiple meetings with the new property owner to discuss what the expectations would be from an engineering standpoint in order to elevate that property, to reduce risk of flooding in the future, and to align it with what a new property in that same location would be required to build to today. And so that is all encompassed in this agreement, and staff supports this agreement.
So I'll turn that over to the Common Council.
I'll make a motion that we proceed with the approval of the development agreement for 1104 Wells Street.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor by Alder Smith, seconded by Alder Knott, to approve the development agreement for 1104 Wall Street. Is there discussion? Okay, not seeing any. All those in favor of approving the agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The agreement passes unanimously. Item 13 is a report from the city administrator, a review of the 2021 council goals for the city administrator, and I'll turn it over to our city administrator, Eric Rindfleisch.
In the packets, and for both public and in your packet, as well as in your boxes, is a memo I assembled at the request of Alder Burmaster and the council to review, as we earlier discussed in July, the mid-year goals, the status of where we are. The annual review is being accomplished by the council with the meeting in December, which will meet in closed session to talk about the performance evaluation. The memo here is to give a status update as to the 3 goals I developed, as well as the 5 objectives and the 15 sub-goals that the council developed, where we stand. I'm not going to read it all into record as it's already exists, but I'll be happy to answer any questions. But again, the actual review will be done in closed session later on.
Thank you. I can get another one. Is there any questions or comments from the council? Okay, thank you for that, Eric. Okay, item 14, closed session. To consider a motion to convene in closed session under section 19.85, paragraph 1, paragraph G of the Wisconsin statutes for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. Specifically, a notice of circumstance and claim by Lou Ann Keen for unspecified amount. And also to consider a motion to convene in closed session under section 19.85, paragraph 1, paragraph E of the Wisconsin statutes for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Specifically, it is for the review and update regarding the La Crosse sanitary sewer agreement. If any action is required in open session as the result of the closed session, the council will reconvene in open session to take the necessary action and or continue on with the printed agenda.
Motion to go into closed.
Second.
We have a motion to go into closed session by Alder Olson, seconded by Alder Burmaster. The time is 7:55 and the voting to go into closed session will be by roll call.
Diane Wolf,
Aye.
Dan Stevens,
Aye.
Stephen Knott,
Aye.
Tom Smith,
Aye.
Carrie Burmaster,
Aye.
Jim Olson.
Aye.
Thank you. We are in closed session.
Just one.